Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to the Bhagavad-Gita class. So we are reading we're on chapter 10, which is entitled The Opulence of the Absolute. So first we'll do the prayers, the invocation prayers. Om Gina Tamarandasha Gana Gana Salakaya Taksumalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitami and Bhutale Swami Rupa Padakama Mayam Tadati Swa Padantikam Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Utta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Stra Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Savadvaitam, Savadutam, Parijana, Sahitam, Krishna Chaitanya Devam, Sri Radha Krishna Para, Sahagana Lalita, Sri Vishakam Visamscha, He Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Dina Bandhu Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopipakanta, Radha Kanta Namostute, Tapta Kanchana Gourangi, Radhi Vrindavaneshwari, Vishabhanu Sutta Devi, Panamami Hari Pare, Vanta Kapias Dhruvyas Tra, Kripa Sindhu Be'evacha, Patitanam Pavane Bio, Vaishnavio, Namaho Namaha, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasiri Gauda Bhakta Vinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So before I begin, I'd like to ask for the blessings of all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavis here, to give me your blessings that I can, say something that we can, and I myself can benefit from, and that is strictly in the parampara line, that I stick with what's been passed down from my Guru Maharaj and from Srila Prabhupada. So I thank you for your blessings. So we are on text 14. Sarvam etad ṛtaṁ manye yamam vadasi keśava nahi te bhagavan vyaktiṁ vidur devā na dānavāḥ. Okay, word for word. Sarvam, all, etad, this, ṛtaṁ, truth, manye, I accept, yad, which, mam, unto me, vadasi, you tell, keśava, O Krishna, na, never, he, certainly, te, your, bhagavan, O Personality of Godhead, vyaktiṁ, revelation, viduḥ, can know, devā, the demigods, na, nor, dānavāḥ, the demons. Purport and translation by His very divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. Please repeat. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. Purport. Arjuna herein confirms that persons of faithless and demonic nature cannot understand Krishna. He is not known even by the demigods, so what to speak of the so-called scholars of this modern world? By the grace of the Supreme Lord, Arjuna has understood that the supreme truth is Krishna, and that he is the perfect one. One should therefore follow the path of Arjuna. He received the authority of Bhagavad-Gita. As described in the 4th chapter, the parampara system of disciplic succession for the understanding of Bhagavad-Gita was lost, and therefore Krishna re-established that disciplic succession with Arjuna, because he considered Arjuna his intimate friend and a great devotee. Therefore, as stated in our introduction to Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad-Gita should be understood in the parampara system. When the parampara system was lost, Arjuna was selected to rejuvenate it. The acceptance by Arjuna of all that Krishna said should be emulated. Then we can understand the essence of Bhagavad-Gita, and then only can we understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I just wanted to do just a very brief. I read through the whole chapter again, and with the Bhagavad Gita you can read it over and over again, and it always seems fresh and new, and you can always get so much more out of it than before. You'll see something that you didn't see before. And with Krishna, everything's always fresh. It's just like when the pujaris, they dress the deities every day, but it's never boring. It could never be boring, because Krishna is always new, always fresh, always enlivening to the devotees. So whenever you have any contact with Krishna, whether it's his holy name, or whether it's his deity form, or when you see the devotees, everything is always fresh and new, and that's how the spiritual world is. It's always fresh and new. Here we're in this material world, which is temporary and dukkhalayam asasvatam, always miserable. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start from, I read through it and I just picked out some things that stood out for me, which brought us to this point, because in the beginning of the chapter, Krishna is the one who's speaking. And then when we get to this part, this is the first time that Arjuna is speaking. I think Arjuna starts speaking in 12 through 13. And then from 8 to 11 are the what is it called? The Chakaslokis, right? Okay. And it said that these slokas are the essence. And in this purport, it said that if we can understand the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, so the essence of these Chatuslokis. So I'll just read what stood out for me when I began reading this chapter over again. The first thing I took out of the first text is that, this is in the last paragraph of the purport, is that the discourses in the society of devotees can take place only among those who are really anxious to be in Krishna consciousness. So we all have to be anxious to be in Krishna consciousness. And if we weren't, we wouldn't be sitting here listening to the Bhagavad Gita. We wouldn't be going to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. We wouldn't be going to Manga Artik. We all want to be anxious to be Krishna conscious, to think about Krishna all the time, 24/7. And that's what we're all striving for, and that's why we're chanting Krishna's holy names. So it says here, others cannot take part in such discourses. The Lord clearly tells Arjuna that because Arjuna is very dear to him, for his benefit, such discourses are taking place. And so we know how very dear Arjuna is to Krishna, and we'll discuss some of Arjuna's qualities and why Krishna wanted to give this information to Arjuna. So then from number 2, talks about Krishna's uncommon activities. No one can understand why this Supreme Lord, God, comes to this earth as an ordinary human being and executes such wonderful uncommon activities. Only by Krishna's causeless mercy can devotees of Krishna understand him. So when I was also looking through these verses, I see that Srila Prabhupada uses the word grace a lot. And I hope I can find it. I looked up grace. Oh, okay, here it is. And what does it mean when we have grace? It's explained as causeless mercy, but grace is it's the goodwill or the favor of Krishna. You know, it's free and unmerited. We haven't earned anything that we've gotten. Nothing, you know. It's only because Krishna has given us his grace, and that we were looking, you know, for something other than what we've experienced in the material world. We wouldn't have come if we didn't feel, you know, there's something else that you know, that is resonating within my heart, and I don't know what it is, and I want to find it. And he's given us his grace out of his love for all of us. He loves us very much. So it's unmerited divine assistance to find him. So that's his grace. So let's talk about some of Krishna's uncommon activities. Can we have some input about what he's been doing in his form? You know,
You say uncommon activities.
Uncommon. Nobody can do it. If they say they're God, you just tell them, well, hold up Govardhan with your pinky, and then you can tell me that you're God. Or, for instance, now Krishna was a baby when Putana came to try to kill him. So what can a baby do? What was he, a month old maybe? But he took her life with his sweet lotus lips. He sucked the very life out of the demon, but still gave her, you know, a position in the spiritual world, because she had once in a previous birth, when Vamana had come to take everything away from Bali, when, I forget her name in the previous life, but when she saw Vamana, she was admiring him, thinking, oh, he's so sweet, he's so cute, I just would like to breastfeed him, hold him on my lap, you know. But then after she saw what he did, took everything away from Bali, then she became angry and then decided she wanted to kill him. You know, but so see, she got killed, but still he took the positive. She wanted to nurse. I mean, really, you know what I mean? If somebody's coming to kill you, are you going to be very generous to the person? You're going to be like, you know, disturbed. But because Krishna knows he's the Supreme Person of Godhead, what does he have to, you know what I mean? Like, he's all good. Whatever he does is all good. No matter what it looks like, everything he does is all good, you know. So she got the position, you know. So can someone else talk about some of his other uncommon activities as a child, as Krishna in the village? Yes. No, he was a baby yes. He was baby in the cart, and he just turned over and kicked it with his little cute feet. And done. You know? Tight. And when the whirlwind came and picked Krishna up, he just grabbed hold of his neck and he was done. You know, so those are his uncommon activities. So here is said that persons of faithless and demoniac nature cannot understand Krishna. So, in 7:15, it is said, Namam duskritino mudha papadyante naradamaha maya parita jnana asharam bhavam ashritaha. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. And then in 9:11, he says, Vajananti mamudha manusim tanum ashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme Lord of all that be. You know. So we'll move on to number 3, what I picked out of text number 3. Krishna's body never changes. Some foolish people think when Krishna comes as a human form that he's material. You know, in a lot of his pastimes, for instance, when he was associating with Arjuna in Hastinapur, like there were only a few there who knew that Krishna was actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but everyone else saw him as a human being. So he's never affected by material energy. He's not created, he's the creator. He's always in the superior energy by his internal potency. So in order to understand, to begin to understand about Krishna, have knowledge of the supreme truth, we have to be liberated from our sinful activities. If those who are performing sinful activities, all the sinful activities, how can they really know or even want to know who Krishna is? So then in 4 and 5, which are, 2 that are together, it's said here that all the different qualities of living entities, be they good or bad, are all created by Krishna. Bhavanti bhava bhutanam mata eva pritag viduḥ. Nothing can manifest itself in this material world which is not in Krishna. That is knowledge. And then 6, Krishna, the Lord just gives a generalized synopsis of the universal population, and he says that they're all generated from his mind, beginning with the 7 sages and the rishis and the manus, the progenitors. They're all generated from his mind. And then in 7, it is said that the highest summit of spiritual perfection is knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sorry. Okay. The highest summit of spiritual perfection is knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Generally, people know, oh, God is great. You hear people say, oh, God is so great, he's so good. But if you ask them, what makes him great? Can you tell me some of the characteristics that make God great? Why are you saying he's great? Can they tell you? Can they give you any details? No, they don't know. They don't really know. We're so fortunate. We know, we have been given every detail, about how this world came about, how Krishna created the world, what's the world made of. So much information we've been given, just so we can understand Krishna's position and our position in relationship to Krishna. Okay? So we have to become fully convinced with faith and without any doubt, and then engage in his devotional service. So then we come to 8 through 11, which are the chapter slokis, and I'll read those from the text. These are the essence of the Gita. The text 8 is, which, the devotees have gone through, but we can always, it's so transcendental, we can repeat them every day, actually. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate Iti mapa bhajante mam Buddha bhava samam viduḥ. And what I would like, if you have the facility, please repeat these after me or repeat them with me. All of these verses that we all should be familiar with. So can we do it? Aham savasya prabhavo mata sarvam pavartate iti mapa bhajante mam Buddha bhava samam viduḥ. I am the source of all spiritual material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So then we go on to number 9. So we can repeat together. Mak chittamad gata prana bodhayanta parasparam kadanya tasjamam nityam tushanti charomanti cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. We love to talk about Krishna and his qualities and his pastimes, and we love to hear, what Krishna is doing, his pastimes, his leelas, his activities. And we have to keep that in the forefront. Number 10, we all know this one for sure. Tesham satadyuktanam brajatam pritipurvakam dadadi ure yogam tam yemam upayantate. Those who constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. And the last one on this one is Tesham ivanukam partam aham agyanatam tamaha nasashami atma bhavasto jnana dipena bhasvata. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining light of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So we're getting all blessings. And I want to go back to talk about how Krishna is not even known by the demigods. I mean, they know he's the Supreme Person of Godhead because whenever they get into trouble, they go to Brahma and they ask Brahma, please take us to the Lord. We're in difficulty and we need help. So they know, but because they have so much opulences, so much sense gratification, so much power they have, that sometimes power corrupts your consciousness at times, because then you begin thinking, I really am the controller. You think, I can control this, but then, they get into difficulty, especially, we know the pastime of when Lord Brahma saw Krishna taking lunch with the cowherd boys, and he was eating. He had in his hand yogurt mixed with rice and fruit, and he had it in his left hand, and he was just enjoying with his cowherd friends, because that's what Krishna does. Everything is still going on, and Krishna is not, involved in it, although he is involved in it. Achanta Beta Tattva. He is and he isn't. But he's enjoying. And so Brahma, he got bewildered. That's why it's called the Brahma Mohan Lila. And he wanted to test Krishna. He said, who's this little boy? Let me see what happens if I take all the cowherd boys away, So they were eating and enjoying, and the cows had wandered off. And so just see how Krishna is so thoughtful of his devotees. So the cowherd boys were worried. They were like, where are the cows? They're gone, Krishna. And Krishna told them, you just sit, you enjoy, finish your lunch, I'll go look for them. But then when he came back, they were all gone. And then Krishna was saying, okay, this is one of Brahma's tricks. I know this is Brahma trying to test me. So because Krishna is in each and every living entity's heart, he manifested each individual cowherd boy, calves and cows, because he in the Gita, and I always repeat this one, in the introduction it says Krishna follows the psyche of every living entity, all of his living entities. So he understood the nature of each and every one of his cowherd friends. So he manifested, So then, when Brahma saw it, he knew, I made a big mistake, So then there was a pastime with Indra, but in this pastime with Lord Brahma, Krishna was a little bit detached, even though Brahma was apologizing, because Lord Brahma had separated him from his friends, from his devotees. Krishna does not like to be separated from his devotees. That's why he's wanting us to come back. He doesn't like the separation. He wants us to be with him. Just like in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita when Gopal, right? Oh, Gopal Kumar, right. When he got home, finally, back to Godhead, they hugged each other and Krishna fainted. And then Gopal Kumar fainted. And then they were hugging because Krishna was so happy to see him come back home. He was so ecstatic to see his devotee come back. So, but Brahma had separated Krishna from his devotee. So Krishna was a little cooler to Brahma when Brahma started trying to apologize. It's not that he didn't accept it, but he was more cool about it, And then, so then we had the pastime with Lord Indra. So we know what happened with Lord Indra because Krishna had spoken to his father about, why are you worshiping Indra? Indra's, he's just doing what he's supposed to do. He's not doing anything special for you. Why are you worshiping him? You should worship Govardhan Hill. From the cows, you get everything from there. So you should worship them. So they followed his advice. And this is what Lord Indra said. So first he was disturbed, that the Vajavasis, this little boy giving them advice, and they're actually listening to him. What's up with that? So Lord Indra said, these cowherd men in Vrindavan have neglected my authority on the advice of this talkative little boy known as Kṛṣṇa. He is nothing but a child. And by believing this child, they have enraged me. He further said, the men of Vrindavan have become too puffed up over their material opulence. Now, who's puffed up? Is it them or is it him? And are overconfident due to the presence of their tiny friend, Krishna. He's simply a talkative, childish, and unaware of the complete situation, although he's thinking himself in knowledge. Because they have taken Krishna so seriously, they must be punished. So he was thinking, I know what's going on. I'm the controller. What's up with this? Why are they listening to him? So then, of course, we know he sent some Vartika clouds, the clouds of destruction of the rain, to actually kill the residents of Vrindavan. Even though he had the intention of killing the residents, Krishna gave him more attention and audience than he did Lord Brahma. Because in that pastime, when Krishna was lifting up the hill, everybody was all together. And in Krishna's pastimes with his Vrindavansis only increased. He was able to, give some sidelong glances to Srimati Radharani because she was there. His parents were there, all the village were there, all the cows were there. Krishna was very happy standing there with his friends because they were all together. But the Lord Brahma did the opposite. He took them away. But even though Lord Indra had intended to kill, still, Krishna gave him more attention when he came with prayers to apologize. But the Lord Indra did bring Surabhi, the Surabhi cow, because he knows Krishna's attached to the cow. So he thought, well, let me bring the cow so she could kind of help me pacify Krishna from what I tried to do, So these are some of his uncommon activities. And So it's said in the purport that Arjuna understood that the supreme truth is Krishna. He's the perfect one. And that we should follow the path of Arjuna. We can't imitate, but we can follow, how Arjuna accepted all that Krishna has said. Of course, Arjuna and Krishna have an eternal relationship. They were Narayana, so they had an eternal relationship. But Krishna really, loved Arjuna so much. He loved his qualities. He had a lot of affection for him. There was a nice love exchange between them, particularly from Krishna's point, because he admired all the qualities of Arjuna. And there are several things that can bring out some of his qualities. One is that when they were getting ready to have the war, that when Duryodhana went to visit Krishna, and Krishna was sleeping at the time, he went to Dwarka. So Duryodhana stood at the head of Krishna to wait for him to wake up. But when Arjuna came in, Arjuna was at his feet. Okay, so when Krishna woke up, he saw Arjuna first, but then Duryodhana, because he was so egotistical, he was like, wait, I was here first, so I get to say. But then Krishna corrected him, no, you don't, because Arjuna's junior, so he gets to ask what he wants, so what Arjuna wanted, what Krishna, I don't know which one came first, whether Duryodhana asked for his army or not, but I don't think so. I think it was first. Arjuna just wanted Krishna. He said, I just want you. I don't want anything else. If I have you on my side, that's all I need. And Duryodhana was so envious and egotistical. He was joyful. He was like, yay, I get the Narayani Sena, I get the army, the most powerful. I mean, okay, if you're getting ready to conduct a war, you would think that the first thing you would want is more men, more armies, akshahini, because Duryodhana had 11 and Arjuna only had 7. So you would think that the first thing that Arjuna would want, being a military man, being a Kshatriya, is, I want the army, but he didn't. He wanted Krishna. I want you. I don't want your army. And also in this, what makes Krishna's army so powerful is that there was his army was led by a very powerful warrior named Kritavarma. Because when I was reading it in the past, I used to wonder, I knew about Satyaki and I knew about Kritavarma. But then I was like, what happened to Kritavarma? I don't remember reading it in the Bhagavad-Gita. What happened to him? So then now I understood that he fought on the side of the Kauravas. He had to go to that side because Krishna's army was given to him, was given to Duryodhana. So he had to go to that side instead of being on Krishna's side. So Krishna very much admired, certain qualities of Arjuna, his determination. So, and their relationship was very sweet and very transcendental, And Krishna also, he had so many names that he so much affection, so many names that he spoke in the Bhagavad-Gita when he was addressing Arjuna. And I was looking for this and I finally found it. Because when you're translating into English, sometimes English doesn't really get the essence of what the words mean. Like I was speaking with one devotee and she was telling me that, I think it was Mukunda Datta's wife, she was relating some words to me, and she was saying that there are some words that have a particular ras that you cannot express in English. So when I read the purport, I was looking for this because my friend, we understand the word my friend, but in 640, in the Sanskrit, it's translated as tata. Tata sounds more affectionate. It seems to me that it has more of a sweet sound than just my friend. Tata. It's he. Huh?
Where is it in
640. It's in the Sanskrit. It's translated as tata, not friend. But there's no word in English that gets the essence, the sweetness of the word tata. You know, it means that the persons are very close. There's a love exchange. You know, it's like when you're really close to someone, or your husband or your wife or your brother, you have certain affectionate terms, you know, that touches the person's heart. So there are certain, you know, like terms that cannot be, you know, translated into English. And he said in 4:3, you know, that because you're my devotee as well as my friend, and because you're not envious of me, you know. So this is why he, you know, decided that, okay, I want you to take this knowledge, you know. And Arjuna was, you know, he was a grihasta person. He was a Kshatriya. It wasn't that he was a sage or, you know, a renunciate or anything, you know. And also, Krishna admired his compassion. He could see that Arjuna was very tender-hearted. It wasn't that, you know, like as devotees, the more we chant, the more our heart softens. That's why we're chanting. We don't even want to step on an ant. We don't want to hurt anyone, you know, because we've been chanting Krishna's names and we understand that Krishna is in every single living entity. So if we have a disagreement with a devotee, if there's some, you know, some bad feelings, we know we don't feel good. We feel disturbed until we can straighten it out, until we can, you know, say, I apologize or find out what I did, you know, because the softening of the heart is taking place. So we don't want to hurt any of the devotees. We don't want to have a disagreement. We don't want to be envious. We don't want to have, you know, negative feelings. You know, we want to appreciate all of his divinities. We don't have to always agree, but we want to see them as part and parcels of the Lord. So this compassion for his family members as well as the opposite side, you know, that's what Krishna really admired about Arjuna, that he was soft-hearted. You know, he had a lot of compassion. And I forgot to say too, when Arjuna, I was listening to some classes. I'm always listening. There's some classes by a devotee from Chaupati. His name is Govinda Prabhu. And he did a whole series on the psychology of the characters in Mahabharata. He did it, you know, for Duryodhana, he did it for Dhritarashtra, he did it for Arjuna, he did it for Karna. They're very deep and very interesting and gives you a real insight into because this Gita is just not like some philosophical treatise. Oh, okay, all the philosophy is here and I just will read it and, you know. You can talk about it all the time and it goes very, very deep. You know, it's so intricate what's really happening on with the personnel, with the army, with Krishna. So many details are woven into the Bhagavad-Gita, into the Mahabharata, about what's really happening in this particular epic, you know. So I was getting ready to say, So when Arjuna was when you're at the feet, when he was at the feet of Krishna, it means that you're asking for seva. That's what you're asking for. But when you're at the head, it means you want something. You know, you're seeing Krishna as an order supplier. So that's why Duryodhana was so happy. Yay, I got the Narayana saying, I'm so happy. Let me get out of here before Arjuna changes his mind. Because he could only see on a material platform. And so he was thinking, well, this means if I have Krishna's army, I'm more likely to win without Krishna, which of course is not possible, because everything is going on by the will of Krishna. Even though he tried very hard to stop the war, still it went on anyway, because he knew that, you know, that the Kauravas wanted the Pandavas out of the way. And even though they had tried so many times, they still couldn't understand what was happening and Krishna's relationship with the Pandavas and why all their plans didn't work. You know, like the House of Black, like trying to poison Bhima, so many things they did, but it didn't work. You know, but still, when you're attached to, you know, something that you want in this material world, you'll do anything to try to get it, because you're not thinking that Krishna has anything to do in the picture at all. Okay? So when Arjuna handed the reins over to Krishna, it meant that I'm handing my life over to you. You take the reins of my life. And it's not that even though Krishna spoke the Gita to Arjuna, that Arjuna didn't have difficulties along the way. He had so many difficulties still. But because he understood Krishna as the person in my life, directing my life, you know. And of course, you know, even though Krishna said he wasn't going to fight, there were a couple of times when he just, you know, lost it. One, because Arjuna was being soft in his interaction with Bhishma. He didn't want to kill him. And Krishna got angry. Like, what? You're letting Bhishma kill everybody, kill your army, and still you're soft on Bhishma. I'm tired of this. You know? So twice, he went with the chakra, and the second time he went with the wheel, because he was telling Arjuna, because even when the first time he went with the chakra, Arjuna stopped him. Said, stop. I'll do it. Okay. You know, but still, even though he had promised that and said that, still Arjuna was being soft. He couldn't get it to kill his grandfather, Bhishma. So then the second time, then Krishna said, okay, so he's racing towards Bhishma with the wheel, with the chariot wheel. And actually, Bhishma was happy to see him coming. He was like, yes, my lord. You know, I bow to you. You can kill me. But then Arjuna still grabbed onto Arjuna, and Arjuna still grabbed onto Krishna and said, no, okay. I'll do. You know, and then when he finally had to kill him, it was very, very difficult for him to have to do it. But he had to obey Krishna. You know. So, you know, like all the characteristics of Arjuna, like just made Krishna love Arjuna more and more, you know. And even though, you know, through the fight, Arjuna was still having difficulties, Krishna only expressed his love towards Arjuna, you know. So, And I wanted to talk a little bit about, okay, so we're getting the information. It's saying in the purport that this is, we have to get the information from the parampara system. We have to get it through the disciplic succession. And that's why he gave the information. And so we are getting this information from our spiritual master. It's the only way we can understand what's really going on in the Bhagavad-Gita and understand who is Krishna. We have to serve Krishna. He's our well-wisher. No. So otherwise, because I know when I first read the Bhagavad-Gita, especially the first chapter, I had no idea what was going on. It was only by the mercy of my spiritual master that you understand. And the more and more we understand, that we should just surrender to Krishna, perform devotional service, and try to come to the point of loving him unconditionally with no motivations. We don't want anything. We just want you to be happy, Krishna. We just want you to be happy. I don't have to be happy. But if Krishna's happy, we become happy. Okay? So I think I'll end here because I just got a little bit long-winded. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments, criticisms? Yes.
So now Lord Krishna, he transformed himself into all the cows, calves and covered ones.
Yes.
And in one more pastime, we see that many Brahmas with millions of heads.
Yes.
In Dwarka they came.
Yes.
So if Krishna is so unlimited, Krishna is so unlimited, if we are chanting his name, which is more powerful than Krishna, so how anything can remain in my heart, soul, mind? Why contamination is there? How can it remain? How can it remain?
From what I understand, and everybody can, it's not that I'm sitting here, that I know all the answers to all the questions, But, so I like input from other devotees as well. But if we're still having problems, then we have to look at how are we chanting. My personal experience with chanting, that sometimes it's very difficult to control the mind and to be completely focused on the holy name. And I pray that if I can chant Krishna's name even one time, once, without offenses, totally focused, then I think I will make progress. But until that time, then, the struggle goes on to try to chant his names. And Krishna I always think of Krishna as being very kind because we're trying. And I think if Putana tried to kill him, and I'm trying my very best to love him, and still he gave her, a boon, then what to speak of devotees who are just trying to chant his holy name? So I know my heart is still contaminated, no matter how many years you chant. So just to try to chant with love and affection and attention, that's the part, the attention, to actually hear the holy names without the mind interfering. Anybody else has any additions?
We have this problem because we are not chanting the pure name. We are not chanting the pure name because of offenses.
Yeah.
Second one is faith. We are committing offenses because we don't have practice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Krishna won't give that thing just easily.
No. Nope.
He will make you go through ups and downs, and then
No.
he will still make you more bewildered, and then he will take you out. Because if you would give it easily, then we won't care for it.
Right, cheap. It's not cheap. And I was just looking at, someone sent me a short video, and it was Govinda Maharaj, and he was saying, you have to cry. You have to cry. I mean, actually, and then with that was a film of my Guru Maharaj when he was leaving his body, and he was in front of Radha Damodar, and he was crying like anything. So you have to really cry. This is what Mukunda Datta said when I asked him the question. You have to really cry, and if you can't cry, then you have to cry that you can't cry. You have to cry. You have to open up your heart and bring it out. Cry. Hands up to Krishna, like Draupadi. She was holding on her sorry. She was thinking she was the controller, and then she finally just said, hey, surrender. Okay, Govinda, please. We have to come to this stage where we know we're not the controller and surrender at Krishna's lotus feet. Yes?
For the changements, I remember that during the Bhakti they teach us to see the qualities in other, like Krishna, you see the quality in Arjuna. When we change our glance, look the qualities inside, what I am doing, what is my intention, and do I do for please Krishna, and what are doing the other person, how she's speaking. Like by example, this give us all the remembrance of the past first, and give us so much emotion also. And when we tell the story, we catch our heart and attention, and that is a heart. And if we see how much the devotee have qualities, we can develop more love, and we will be humble. And when we cry also, the process of redemption and compassion will go in us, and the love can arise. The changement it's progressive.
Is that okay, Prabhu?
Yes.
Thank you.
Just so we see that we advance when we have more enthusiasm and endeavor for doing sadhana.
Yes. We have to do it with utsaha, enthusiasm, vigor and enthusiasm. That's the chanting, vigor and enthusiasm. Thank you so much all for coming. Please accept my obeisances. Vanchakapyasrubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo namo namaha. Jai.